Now, if you're getting started with AI coding or vibe coding, you must have heard of Cursor. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get it downloaded, how to set it up, and also how to get your first app launched using this app. So we have three different pricing options. We have Hobby, where we can try this for free. We have Pro for $20 a month and Ultra for $200 a month. And as with every single AI coding tool out there, they all have usage-based pricing. What this basically means is you can send a certain number of messages until you reach that $20 per month cap. Beyond that, you will be charged for every message that you send. So we need to make sure when we're sending messages, it includes all of the context and all of the detail that we need in order to get the app built efficiently without burning through tokens and spending a huge amount of money. Because what we don't want to do is end up like these people who are spending $250 a month on AI coding tools. So if you stick around until the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to get your first web app project built using Cursor, and I'm going to show you a way of saving massive amount of costs using AI coding tools. So the first thing we need to do is actually download Cursor. Now, I'm running on Mac, so this tutorial will be for Mac. You can download it on Mac OS, Windows, or Linux. All you need to do is click on this and then allow the download. Now, once you've downloaded Cursor and you open it up, you're going to be greeted with a screen that looks like this. Now, you have an option to either sign up for an account or log into an existing account. So all you need to do is click on sign up. It's going to take you to Cursor, and you want to go ahead and click on this sign up button here and create your account. You can either do it with first name, last name, and email, or you can sign up with Google, GitHub, or Apple. If you already have an account, just click on login and then just log into your account. So I'm going to log into mine now. So when you log in, you're going to be taken to a dashboard that looks like this. Now, at the moment, I am on the Pro plan on this account, so I have already set up because I use Cursor already, but I'll walk you through this dashboard so you understand how everything works. This is our usage-based pricing, and this is where we can keep track of how much we're spending per month to develop our app. And I want you to remember here, although the pricing can seem expensive, you have to keep in mind that to hire a developer to build an app for you is typically going to cost you $1,500 to $5,000 per month just to hire somebody to build your app. So we're getting a massive reduction in that. It is going to be significantly cheaper. But if you are worried about pricing, come into settings here and then come to your monthly spend limit, and you want to set this at $50 or something along those lines. So what I'm going to do is just log into my account. I'm going to click on yes, login, and then allow, and it's going to open it up as my login inside Cursor. Now it's going to ask you here to customize or pick your theme. I'm going to go with Cursor Dark. We can change this later. Click on continue, then just click on continue, turn this on, click on continue, and then language for AI, you want to go ahead. I'm just going to set this to English. Don't worry about any of this other stuff. Just click on continue, and then it's going to open up Cursor. So this is what we call an IDE. This is the app where you can write code, you can actually chat to the AI and get it to code for you. So when we first start Cursor, we have three available options. We can either open a project, we can clone a repo, and I'm going to show you what that means later. This is really important because it's going to save us a huge amount of time with creating things like user accounts, databases, payments, managing security, building websites, and creating amazing UI design. So we'll do that towards the end of the video. And then we have the option to connect via SSH. Now, when you're a complete beginner, the first thing you're going to need to do is open up a project. You want to come to somewhere on your computer. So I'm going to come into the documents section. You can do this on the desktop, you could do it on an external drive, wherever you want. And what we're going to do is create a new folder. And I like to call this folder app-builds. So let's just click on create. Now this is going to be where we store all of the projects we're working on. Now on this YouTube channel we have tons of tutorials teaching you how to build different apps. All of the apps we build are web apps, and every single app that we create will be a subfolder inside here. So for example, we would have a folder called app1. Okay, and this would be the app that we're working on. Now we're not going to do that. We're actually just going to do the app builds folder. We're not going to create the app1 folder just yet. We're just going to open app builds on our computer. Now once we've done that, it's going to take us to this view here. We're just going to allow Cursor to be able to read the files inside that folder we just created. And this is the view that we now see. So we're going to start off with walking you through what all of this stuff is, and then we're going to start actually coding something with AI. So first of all, on the left hand side here, you can see we have this option to view the folder. So this is essentially a folder breakdown. We have app builds, which is the folder we just created. Now, I also created app1 as well, which is the folder with inside that folder. And you can see here we've got app builds app1, okay? And then inside here would be the files for the app we're building. So this will make a little bit of sense as we start to go through. Now, because this is saying app builds up here, this means we are currently inside the app builds folder, which is exactly where we want to be. So we could, for example, click on this button here and create a new file, and we could call it text.txt, and follow along with this if you want to. Click on enter, and we've now created a text file. So if we actually do Command S on Mac and save it, if we go to our documents inside our app builds folder, you can see we've got text.txt, which is this file here. Okay, so it's just basically showing us the files inside that folder. We could also create a new folder by clicking this button here. Okay, and we could call this text test folder, for example. And then if we come inside Finder, you can see that folder is here. So we have app builds, and then we have the test folder, we have app builds, and we have the test folder. Okay, so this is basically just a way of us viewing all of the files inside our app. So what we're going to do is just select that folder, and this one we're just going to delete that file. Right click, delete, don't ask me again, move to trash, and then right click, delete. It's going to move that to trash. Now we're going to come back to these other buttons later on, but the next thing you need to know is if you haven't got your chat open on the right hand side, if you can just see this, you either want to click this button up here, which is going to pull out the AI chat menu. Alternatively, you could press Command I on your keyboard, and I think on Windows it'll be Control I. Now this is basically where we actually talk to the AI and get the AI to code for us. So we have a few options. If we click here, we have Agent, Ask, Manual, and Background. If you're a complete beginner, Agent is basically where you're going to ask the AI to write code for you. Agent basically means it has the permissions to plan, search, and build anything. So it can actually create you the files for your app. So you're going to spend most of your time in Agent. Now, let's say, for example, the AI codes you something or you're confused, you would use Ask mode. You could ask Cursor questions about your code base, and it's not going to write any files for you. Now, I would avoid, if you're a beginner, again, from Manual and Background. We're not even going to touch those in this lesson today. So now we're going to swap to Agent, and on the right we can see Auto. And this is basically the section where we can actually select the language model we're using to code, or the AI we're using to code, which is really useful. Now, it's set it as Auto. You want to avoid using Auto at all times, because actually a lot of the models aren't very good at coding. So we're going to turn this off. And you can see inside here we have GPT-5 and Claude 4 Sonnet are the two language models set by default for us to use. Now, we can actually change and turn on or off the different language models we want. We can have multiple different options available. I'll go through that as we start building later on. Now, next to it, you'll see we've got this little brain icon, and the brain basically means thinking. These are reasoning models, and if you would like me to do a tutorial on different language models, then we can go ahead and do that. Now, a reasoning model basically allows the AI to think through what it's doing in multiple steps before it actually writes any code. So it's kind of like a planning mode, and it gives us much better results. So GPT-5 has GPT-5 sort of like thinking already pre-turned on, and then we have Claude 4 Sonnet, okay, and you can see this one here doesn't have a little brain next to it, so it's not a thinking or a reasoning language model. So you can actually add models in here. And if you click that, it's going to take us into the cursor settings. You can also, if you just close that, click on the little settings icon up here, and you can come to models here. Now we have all of the different models down here. We've got GPT-5 High, Low, and Fast. I would only ever really use GPT-5 High. These ones are going to be quicker or cheaper to use. It's going to use less tokens and less usage on your account. But if you're a complete beginner and you've got no coding experience, really you want to be using the most advanced language models out there. Now we can click on View All Models, and we have loads of different options. We've got GPT-5 High Fast, GPT-5 Low Fast. Ignore those for now. The ones you want to be looking at are Claude 4 Sonnet, and actually this one here you can see is the same as this one, Claude 4 Sonnet, but we've got a little brain next to it. So I'm actually going to turn on Claude 4 Sonnet with the little brain. Claude 4.1 Opus, I'm going to turn that on as well. Now be careful of anything with max only mode, okay? Because that basically means it's going to cost you a lot of money to use, but it's incredibly powerful. Now we'll go through that either in this video or another video. It depends on how much you know about language models, but essentially it means it can read more of your code base. It can understand and memorize or remember much larger code bases. So if you've got really complicated problems, you want to use this. The other one we want to turn on as well is we probably want to have O3 available to us. Gemini 2.5 Pro as well. This is an incredibly good language model, and I think for now that's probably good enough. We can always come back and we can turn on some other ones as well. Okay, now if we come to the general area, there's not really too much you want to do here. We've got different settings that we can change, but for now we're kind of fine on that. If we come into the chat mode, just make sure you are following exactly the same things that I've got turned on here. One thing I would turn on is the completion sound. If you're a true vibe coder, what that basically means is you're getting the AI to code for you, and while it's writing code, you're doing something else. So you can turn on completion sound so you know once the AI has completed writing its code. I would go again and include full folder context if you're a complete beginner. Just remember that if you turn these things on, it's going to burn through your tokens quicker, but it's going to give the AI a little bit more memory about kind of the context of what it is that you're trying to code. Cool. Other than that, I think we'll leave everything as it is. Now we're going to come back to rules, memories, indexing, and docs later on. This isn't so important when you're just getting started. Okay, so what you're going to do now is actually come into the chat and we're going to write out this message. So build me a Next.js web app project. Let's use TypeScript, decide on all the settings for me, make sure everything is installed correctly. and then you're just going to send this through. And the AI is now going to figure out how to set up our project for us. Now don't be scared, because it's going to ask us to install various things onto our computer so we can actually start running this. Now depending on whether your computer's ever been developed on before, whether you've ever installed any stuff before, or whether you're a complete beginner to this, there will be various files and things that you need to create and install on your computer. The reason we're going to use Cursor for this is it's going to figure out all the things that we need. So you can see here, it's going to create a Next.js project for us. And what we're going to see is up here in our app builds folder, it's going to create us a new folder called My Next App. Okay, and what it's going to do is install various packages that enable this to work. Okay, and you're going to see what happens as we go through this, and you'll get used to understanding this as we're writing. So we're going to click on Run here. It's going to start the terminal, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to create this folder for us. So you can see if we actually drag this out, it's actually asking us various questions. So what we're going to do now is actually just go through here, and you're just going to answer exactly as I. So what we're going to do is click inside this terminal here, and then click on Enter for yes. What it's going to do now is just install some of the packages that it needs for this to work. Now if you've never developed anything on your computer before, there's going to be things that you need to install that aren't already installed, so this could take a little bit of time. So we're just going to wait for this to be done, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. Cool, so it's gone ahead and it's created that project. You can see up here it says My Next App, and you can see there's now loads of different folders and files in here that we may or may not need when we're building. So it's going to move on to the next step, to initialize shadcn, and this is how we're going to create really nice UI components. So if we want to have buttons, or we want to have calendars, or I don't know, slides or cards or something in our app, then it's going to go ahead and install these files for us. Now it says the package is deprecated. It's trying to figure out and make sure it's doing things correctly. So again, just click on yes, and this is just because when the language model was trained, Gemini 2.5 Pro, it was trained and told that this was the way to install this. But obviously since shadcn has updated, this is the updated way of installing things. Okay, cool. Now it's going to ask us which color would you like to use as your base color. You can either go for neutral, you can go for gray, zinc, stone, or slate. I'm going to go for neutral, and it doesn't matter too much now because we can actually change things later on. Cool. Now you can see it's going to go ahead and add some buttons for us. So if we just click on Run here, you can see it's got a little bit confused about the way to install things. So this is really useful when you're just getting started. It's going to help you learn what's going on. But basically npx is the command we run, and then we're just installing a certain package or a certain library, or in this case UI components, and that's going to help us make our app look nicer. So you can see here it's created a new folder called components. So if we actually come into here, you can see components now exists. We have an app folder and then a lib folder, and it's created a UI subfolder with button.tsx. This here is the code for that button, so we don't need to actually code out a button every time we're building our app. Now, you're going to get this error sometimes. This is just a bug that sometimes appears within Cursor. If this happens, this basically means that it's timed out. We need to continue sending the message through. So just click on here for copy request info, come into the chat, click on Command V, and then just say continue, and then it's going to continue from where it left off. You can start to see how we're starting to use this tool to write code and start to build out our file and our code base so we can start building an app. Now it's going to go ahead and it's going to create a page for us, and it's just basically building out our app for us. So we're going to have a website that we can go ahead and visit, and you can see here it's about to run it. So what we're going to do, instead of clicking open terminal here, we're just going to click on this. Actually, we're going to skip this for now. Click on skip here, and we're going to click on accept. So before we actually run this app, you can see it's now finished. So everything's now ready to go. You guys didn't hear that, but it actually played a little notification that it's now finished. So what we can actually do is if we just click on this little button up here, these three buttons, we're going to click on close all, because we're going to close all that code. We don't want that to be showing because that's a bit confusing. So if we actually come into this folder here, we have My Next App, okay? And then we've got all of these different folders. So public would be where we save files, like different images. So you can see we've got various different images here for our app. So if you wanted to have like an icon or a logo, it would go into the public folder, and we'll walk through that in some future tutorials. We have the app folder here, and then this page is actually going to be the main web page for our website, and I'll show you that in a minute. So if you go to https:/website.com, that will be this page here. So this file is that main page, okay? Layout is an important file. This basically describes how you want everything laid out inside this page. Components is really cool because these are all of the components for our app. So if we're building an app and we want a button, instead of us having to manually tell the AI, okay, code me a button, it can just go ahead and use this. So you can have the same style button across your entire app. Now what we're going to do is, if you want to go to Google and you want to search for ShadCN, and you want to click on the top link here, and these are components, okay? So actually if we scroll down, all of these buttons here, like the upgrade plan, the create account button, submit button, they all look the same. And if we actually come into our app, this button here will be the same as these buttons here, okay? And that's just because of the UI library that we've used. So if you click on components, when you click on button, this is the button we've already got installed in our app, okay? So we don't need to write this code ourselves, we've already installed it into our app. So what we can actually do is all of these different components here, like for example having collapsible items like this, or having drawers like this in our app, if we wanted this to be in our app, rather than having to tell the AI to go ahead and build it, what we can do is come back to Cursor and we can just say now, please install all ShadCN components in the, and this is where we want to get used to using Cursor chat. So actually what we can do is, rather than just sending messages through with Cursor without going into detail and explaining where to do things, we want to start to understand what these files are and where everything is. So what we can do is just do @ on our keyboard, and we have the option to tag individual files, and this is really where Cursor becomes powerful. You shouldn't be avoiding this. This is something you should definitely be using, because we can tell it where to install things and where the files are. So this becomes very useful as we get a much larger code base. So just for example now, actually let's just swap this to GPT-5. We're going to come to files and folders, and you can see here we have the components folder, but we also have this UI folder. And if you actually read along here, you can see it says src components UI. So you can see it's in this components folder. So what we're basically saying is, if you come into this UI folder, that's where we want all of these things to be installed. Okay, so we can actually do @I, okay? And you can see this folder here, right, is this folder here. And then what we can do is just tell GPT-5 to install all of these components in here. And what we'll see is, hopefully inside here we should see things like slider, also things like calendar, so we don't have to build all these things ourselves. So you can see here what it's doing is it's asking us to use various tools when we're coding. So it's actually saying, can we actually search on the web to see how to do all of this? So we're just going to click on auto search here, because we want it just to be able to search whenever it wants, and then click on continue, and it's going to go ahead and actually find out online how to actually install all these things. And this is part of the vibe coding process, is letting the AI figure things out, and while it's figuring things out, you have a lot of time to be doing other things. Now while we're doing all of that, we actually have a software called CodeSpring, and this software is going to really help speed up the process of building, and it's a place to basically give you an AI co-pilot to help you code any app, plan everything out, and make sure the AI has the knowledge and context of the project that you're building. We've got loads of courses, we've got tutorials, we've got boilerplates and templates to help you get set up and build your projects really easily. But if you are getting stuck on how to build and you want to see a full course on how to build an app entirely with AI, if you grab a CodeSpring subscription down below, it's £25 per month. You get access to this full course that's going to show you how to build a full note-take app from start to finish, from an empty code base, walking through something like what we've just done here, and we're going to show you how to deploy it as well, how to link databases, and all of that is going to be built on top of what we call a boilerplate. And a boilerplate is essentially a starter template, and you'll see how this becomes useful in a minute. But it basically means you have user accounts set up, you have websites already set up, you have payments already integrated, you have a database already linked, and really nice UI and website design already done for you. So you can just build your app on top of it, and you don't need to worry about any of this complicated stuff. As with any vibe coded project, there are security problems. You don't want to get hacked, you don't want people's personal information to be leaked. All of that stuff has been handled if you grab a CodeSpring subscription. The link is down below. Now I'll walk you through more how this tool works later on, because there's a lot more that you can do with it. So if we come back to Cursor, you can see it's just going through now and just making sure that our UI components that we've installed in here are actually going to work on our website. And then finally it's given us this command here to go ahead and install all of these various components. So for example, we have calendar, which is this calendar here. We have navigation menu, which is this component here. So we're just going to click on run. Once this is done, you can see we'll open this file here, and we'll have loads of files of all of these different components that we can reuse when we're building our app. Of course, it's asked us to do a little bit of an update. We're just going to accept that. And actually what you can do is, if you're getting a bit bored of just sitting here constantly clicking accept, you can let it auto run for you. And then we're just going to go ahead and run that. Now while we're doing this, I want you just to realize how time consuming this is for us to get set up. Every single time, if we want to build an app, we're going to have to go ahead and install all of these things and make sure everything's up and running for us. And this is just going to take a lot of time. At the moment we're 33 minutes in and we haven't even run the app yet. We haven't linked databases. There's no way for people to sign up and create accounts. There's no payments integrated. On average, to build an app and get it set up with all of the basics that you need for your app to be deployed takes about 7 days. Now if you stick around until the end, I'm going to show you a much quicker way of doing all of this, that's going to be bug free. You're not going to run into any mistakes. So you can see what it's done is actually created a new components folder here, right? So we've got all of these different things being installed at the moment. We've got the calendar.tsx file, which was, if we come into our components here, is this file here for this calendar. Now what we're going to do now is actually we're just going to stop this. We're just going to go ahead and see if we can run this app, because I think we're going to run into some problems because we've got two UI folders or two UI files. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just do npm run dev, and when we actually run this, you're going to see it's going to fail. And the reason for this is because if you actually look here, we're in the app builds folder, okay, which is the folder that we created to start off with. But our app, my next app, is not in that folder. We need to actually open up this folder itself. So we're going to come to File, Open Folder. We're going to come to our Documents folder where we created app builds, and we're going to click on My Next App, and then click on Open. It's going to open us a fresh, whole new app, really easy to see. We're going to come to Terminal, New Terminal, and then we're going to write npm run dev, and then hit enter. Cool, so it looks like it's ready to get going. And actually if we look through this, what this is basically telling us is we can actually run our app if we go to this URL here. Okay, so we go to localhost 3001, we should be able to see our website. Now some of you guys may have struggled to get localhost set up. You may be wondering how all of this code actually becomes visualized on a web page. You're now about to see that. So if you can either type this into your browser, this localhost into your browser, or you can do command click on that link, and it will open up localhost in our browser for us. And if there's any errors or any bugs, we'll then go through an error debugging stage. But you can see here, it's now working. We have our app actually running, which is really cool. So congratulations, you've now actually created your first web application. The problem is nothing works. We haven't got any features. We haven't got a way to log in. We haven't got a dashboard page. We haven't got anything like that. So let's just build on top of this a little bit. So first of all, it says here, get started by editing this page. So what you can do is just copy this file, this thing here, come into your cursor chat, okay, and paste it in here. And we're going to say, make me a website here, okay? But I want you to get used to tagging files. So if we actually come into our src folder here, we come into app, and you see page.tsx, okay? It's exactly the same thing here, src, app, page.tsx. This file here is this page here that you see on this page. It's if we were to go to CodeSpring, for example, our software company, our website, this page here is essentially this file here, okay? So what we can do is we can say, make me a website here at, and then we can tag page.tsx, and you can see src/app/page.tsx, okay? We're just going to say, design me a simple hero section for our startup, okay? And we're just going to let it go ahead and do that. And in fact, actually, if we want to make much nicer UI design, we're going to change the language model to Claude 4 Sonnet, and we're going to send that through. Claude 4 Sonnet and any of the Claude language models are incredibly good at creating UI design and making things look nice and pretty. So let's just come back to our app for a second. The next thing we want to do is actually come to /dashboard, and this is where we want our app to be. So if we come into our CodeSpring account, for example, you can see we have codespring.app/dashboard, okay? We can't actually do that on our current app. If we go to the dashboard part of the app, we're going to get an error because that page doesn't exist, okay? And this is basically where our app will be. So we'll have on our software, we'll have the main website will just be at this main URL. And then if you go to /dashboard, that will be where the interior of your app is, okay? We're also going to want to actually build a sign in and sign up page. So that would be, for example, codespring.app/login. Or if we come to the sign up page, it would be codespring.app/sign up, okay? And what we want to be able to do is allow people to create accounts. So all of these pages don't currently exist in our app, okay? If we were to come to here and we go to login, again, we get a 404 error. Now, the final thing we're going to want to do is set up a pricing page. So actually, at the moment, if you wanted to grab a CodeSpring subscription, I'll show you what it does later on, but we're actually doing a trial where you can use it for 3 days for just £1 to see if you like it, and then it's £25 a month. But you don't have this set up on your app either, okay? There's no way of you going to a pricing page. There's no way of actually charging people to use your app, okay? If I try and actually go to the dashboard page, right, inside CodeSpring now, and I haven't created an account and paid for it, it's going to redirect me to the sign up page. So I can't actually log in, I can't actually access anything if I've not created a paid account, okay? Same thing for your app here that you just created. If you come to /pricing, that doesn't exist. So all of these things that are required to make your app work, you're going to need to manually code yourself. Or if you stick around until the end, I'll show you how if you use a CodeSpring subscription, you can copy this and it will have all of that stuff already set up for you. We've already coded all of that stuff for you. That's part of what you get access to inside inside CodeSpring. So anyway, let's just go back to Cursor and you can see what it's getting up to. So first of all here, it's just creating us a new website design. We're just going to click on Open Terminal. And what it's done here, this is something you're going to realize as you start building. The AI is really, really keen at running terminal commands to, once you've created something, okay, and once you've made some changes, it wants to go ahead and actually run that app. Now you can see here, we're already running this. And that give us a link for localhost 3001. So we're just going to quickly accept these changes. Now what this has done here, it said npm run dev, and it's created us our app at localhost 3002 because this one's already running. So actually what we're going to do is just click on X up here and close that and click on terminate. And what you can do is actually if you press Control C on your keyboard, it's going to end this session here. Okay. Now if we come back to our app and we refresh our page, we're going to say it can't connect to the server. And that's just because we basically closed and shut our app down. Okay. So just write clear in your terminal and it's going to clear all of that stuff for us. And now we're just going to write npm run dev again. Okay. And you can see here localhost 3001 has opened up. Do command click, it'll take us to our website, and hopefully Claude will have made us a nice new website design. So transform your business today. It's created us a cool looking website. And you can see Claude does a really good job at making really nice websites. But again, if I click on get started for free and watch demo, these buttons don't actually do anything. But we're getting there. Now we're going to get it to try and create us a dashboard page. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. We're going to write dashboard like this. And we're just going to come to Cursor. We're going to say paste, build me a dashboard page. Okay, I'm just going to now take a screenshot of this section here on our app, and I'm just going to paste this inside here, and I'm going to describe what I want the dashboard page to look like. So on the left side we want a sidebar for navigation, okay, and then in here we want to say call this sidebar, and just follow along exactly what I'm doing, guys. .tsx, okay, and then we're just going to send that through. And what this is going to do for us is it's going to build us dashboard page. Okay, so we then would be able to go to our website. We can see, okay, cool, here's our website, and then what we want to do is click a button, and when we click that button we want it to take us into the dashboard page. Now typically what you would do is you would send them directly to a sign up page, and then after that they would create an account that needs to be linked to a database, and then from there we would send them directly into our dashboard. Now I'm going to show you a way that we can just clone the template from CodeSpring and it'll already be done for us, but if you wanted to you could just do it the way that we're doing in this video right now. So you can see here it's done exactly what we asked it to do. It created us this sidebar component. Okay, you can see it's put it here. We can also come down here and we can see it's updated the layout page, and it's also, if we click on this page here, created us a new page. So you can see we've got dashboard, page, and page.tsx. And now what it's asking us to do is just run a command, and I think what it's doing is just installing some more components for us. Little hack if you're using AI to code and you're getting a bit confused is if you click this little button up here, you can collapse all of these folders just to clean everything up for you. So here it's asking us to run npm run build. We're actually just going to skip that for now. That's just going to help us actually build the app, see if there's any errors when we come to deploy it. And for now we don't need to worry about that. So let's just click on accept all. We're going to come back to our app, and you just write this out in your URL, click on enter. You can see here we now have a dashboard page, which is really cool. Okay, it started to build things for us, and you can see what it's done is it's actually started to create what we can see here inside CodeSpring. Okay, it started to actually build that navigation panel, which is really, really cool. The only problem with this is obviously, again, it's created us these different parts here that we can click on. So if we want to go to PRDs, for example, we get this 404 page, because what it's trying to do is go to a URL PRDs, which doesn't exist, right? If we come into CodeSpring and we click on PRDs, obviously this page loads because we have dashboard PRDs. Okay, so you can gradually start to see how we build these things up. So what we would do is we would probably tell it to come into the dashboard, and it would create a new folder called PRDs. Okay, and it would have inside, don't do this, just this is just for demonstration purposes, inside here, right, we would have a page.tsx file. Okay, and that page there would be /dashboard/PRDs. Okay, so that's how you can start to build up your app. Now, with all of that being said, we still have a few issues. For example, okay, you can see down here it's trying to show me the account that's logged in. If we click on this, it's really cool. It's created some other bits and pieces for us, but the problem is we don't have any user accounts set up, so we need to go ahead and set all of that stuff up. So you have now built your first web app, got it up and running using Cursor. There's still a lot more to do though. We need to set up user accounts. We've got to have a website built. We've got to build our features on top of it. We've got to have database integrated. We've got to have payments set up so we can actually launch this as a working product. And I think you guys are probably in the point where actually you would much rather spend the time creating the product instead of messing around with those things. So now I'm going to show you a way that we can do this so much faster and so much easier just by using CodeSpring. So Let's come back into Cursor. So what we're going to do is come to File, we're going to go New Window, and we're just going to close this old window here. We're actually going to get started with a brand new project. If you click the link down below in the description, you can grab a CodeSpring subscription for just £25 per month. Click on Assets, come down to this link here, copy this. We want to come back to Cursor, and we're going to go ahead and click on Clone Repo, and then we're going to paste this link in here, and then we're just going to hit on Enter, and it's going to ask us where would we like to install this. So we're going to come to Documents and come into App Builds, because that's where we're saving all of our apps. We're going to select the repository destination, and you can see here it's going to go ahead and clone it for us. Would you like to open the cloned repository? Then click on Open, and just like that, it's got the code base cloned for us with everything that we need to get this set up. So without wasting any more time, let's go to Terminal, click on New Terminal. We're going to run npm install. This is the only command you're going to need to run. Hit on Enter, and what this is going to do is just install all of the libraries, all of the packages that we need in order for this CodeSpring boilerplate to work. Cool, so all we do now is do npm run dev inside our terminal, hit Enter. You can see here it's opened up the app again, localhost 3001. We're going to do command click, and it'll open up the website, and you can see all of this has already been built for us. We have the website already created. Now this is a rough template design for any app that you want to build. We can come to sign in, and we can actually go ahead and sign up straight away and create an account. So we can log in with an email address. If we haven't got an account, we can go ahead and sign up for an account. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Cool, and just like that, I've logged in. I now have an account created, and you can see we have the dashboard. And here's the really cool thing. In the dashboard, all of the buttons work. I have multiple different pages that I can go to, but it gets even better than that. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually come to the pricing page, and I already have payments already integrated and ready to get set up with my app. So now you don't have to worry about building these user accounts, integrating things like databases, creating payments, worried about security. You can just build your app on top of this, and all of that code has already been created for you. If you want to learn how to build your own app on top of this, go ahead and click the link down below in the description and grab a CodeSpring subscription so you can go ahead and clone this template, and then come to the courses section. In the CodeSpring Academy module 4, we're going to show you how to build your first note-taker app, and you can actually plan your ideas in CodeSpring. If you want to know how all this works, go ahead and watch the other videos on our YouTube channel, but this course here is going to show you how to plan and build your first app, how to set up the actual boilerplate to make sure it's running perfectly without any errors, how to make sure users can create accounts, how to link the databases. Side note, if you come into the app, we have this folder here called DB for your databases, and these are already built for you. You don't need to worry about creating accounts and where the user information gets saved, security and all of that stuff. If you download this template, it's already been built for you. We're going to show you how to actually design really cool UI, then how to actually deploy your app. We've got loads of cool new features coming out inside CodeSpring, but you can see just how much quicker it is. We did that in probably the space of 3 minutes, but to actually build the app ourselves, to build all of this, if you're a complete beginner, it's probably going to take you close to a week, and there's definitely going to be errors and problems in your app build. So now you've got that template set up, you can build whatever you want on top of this. CodeSpring is going to help you build that. It's got all the courses that you need. We've got loads of videos on this YouTube channel. I hope this video was useful to you, and if you have any other ideas of what you want to see, go ahead and let me know down below in the comments.